The Galactic Accord training station Celestine had hosted 43 species over its 200-year history. It had seen diplomatic incidents, cultural misunderstandings, equipment sabotage, and at least one war averted over a misinterpreted gesture involving Adrenathy's secondary islet. But it had never seen anything quite like what happened in Base 7 on the morning of Cycle 304. Vera had been watching the human cadet for 3 weeks. Not with admiration, not with curiosity, with the particular, calculated attention of a predator who has identified the weakest creature in the enclosure and is simply waiting for the right moment to remind everyone of the hierarchy. Vera was Kulhari, tall, four-armed, with plated skin the color of old bronze and a rank insignia that shone at her collar like a small sun. She was senior cadet, 3rd tier, and she had made it her quiet mission to ensure that Rylan understood his place aboard Celestine. The human was young, shorter than most of the non-human cadets by a significant margin. He carried himself with that particular stillness that Vera had initially mistaken for submission. He spoke rarely in group briefings. He ate alone. He trained alone. He was, by every visible metric, an easy target. Vera told herself this was not cruelty. It was order. Hierarchy existed for a reason. The Kulhari had understood this for millennia. You did not let weakness anchor the group. You pressured it until it either hardened or broke, and either outcome served the whole. She had chosen her moment carefully. Base 7. Equipment inspection. The Accord's senior oversight captain, a heavy-set Moravan named Dresketh, was conducting walkthroughs on the far side of the station. No witnesses she hadn't already managed. Rylan was at the calibration bench when Vera arrived with 2 of her unit mates behind her. He heard them before he saw them. Didn't turn around. Human. He set down the calibration tool and turned. His face was calm. Not the calm of ignorance. The calm of someone who had already run the numbers. Vera, he said. She let the silence stretch in the way her instructors had taught her, the kind of silence that reminded smaller creatures of their own smallness. Your bunk assignment has been moved, she said. Lower quarters. Storage adjacent. The senior cadets require the upper bay. Rylan looked at her for a moment. That assignment requires a commanding officer's authorization. Consider it handled. I'll verify it through the system. Vera stepped forward. One of her 4 hands moved, not threateningly. She would have said afterward, only firmly, and she closed it around the human's right hand where it rested on the bench. What she intended was a demonstration. Pressure. A physical reminder of size differential, of the 4-to-2 advantage of Kulhari limbs, of the bronze plating that made her grip like a vice. She pressed. The human's face did not change. She pressed harder. There was a sound. Small. Structural. Rylan's ring finger fractured. She saw it in his eyes. A flicker, quickly controlled. Pain registering, and then being filed away somewhere she couldn't access. He did not cry out. He did not pull back. He simply looked at her with an expression she could not categorize, and that inability unsettled her more than any reaction she had anticipated. Are we done? He asked. Vera released his hand. Her unit mates shifted behind her. She had expected tears, or anger, or the particular sound humans apparently made when frightened. She had not expected that. The stillness. The filing away. The question delivered in the same tone one might use to confirm a supply order. She decided it did not matter. The hierarchy had been demonstrated. She turned to leave. She did not see him pick up his comm unit. She did not see him press 2 fingers to his fractured hand, feel the break, nod once to himself, and begin recording the incident in calm, precise detail into the station's official log, timestamp, names, physical evidence, witnesses identified by uniform number. She was already gone by then, satisfied with her morning's work. Captain Dresketh received the log entry 4 minutes later. He had been a commanding officer for 31 years across 6 stations and 2 active conflict zones. He had managed disputes between species who communicated exclusively through pheromone and species who couldn't perceive the same light spectrum. He was not, by any measure, a man easily rattled. He read Rylan's entry twice. Then he set down his data pad and walked, not quickly, not slowly, with the precise cadence of someone who has already decided the outcome, to Bay 7. Vera was still in the bay when the captain arrived. She knew immediately that something was wrong. Not because of his expression, Dresketh's species had limited facial mobility. Because of his pace. Because of the way the two station officers who had appeared beside him were positioned, not accompanying him, but flanking the space she occupied. Senior Cadet Vera, Dresketh said. Captain. She came to attention reflexively. You will accompany me. Of course, Captain. May I ask? You may not. The formal review room was cold by design. Dresketh believed discomfort sharpened honesty. He placed the log entry on the table between them and let her read it. To her credit, Vera did not attempt an outright denial. She reframed. The contact had been incidental. The break was an accident. She hadn't accounted for human bone density. She had been demonstrating rank protocol, not inflicting injury. Dresketh listened to all of it. Then he said, Cadet Ryland's medical scan has confirmed a clean transverse fracture of the proximal phalanx, consistent with compression force applied laterally. The scan is time-stamped. The log entry was filed unprompted, with identified witnesses, within 4 minutes of the incident. Vera said nothing. You held his hand and broke his finger, Dresketh said. The simplicity of it seemed to surprise her more than any formality. In my station, during supervised training hours. Captain, I'm not finished. He set down the datapad. You have served 3 years without a formal disciplinary mark. Your assessments are strong. I am telling you this because I want you to understand the weight of what comes next. He folded 2 of his hands on the table. You are being removed from senior cadet status, effective immediately. You will be reassigned to standard cadet rotation. You will complete 30 hours of cross-species conflict protocol training before you are permitted to advance again. Your unit mates who were present will receive formal warnings. All of this will be on your permanent record. Vera's plated skin, which could not go pale in the human sense, somehow managed to suggest it. As for Cadet Ryland, Dresketh continued, he will receive medical clearance, a formal station apology, and reassignment to whatever bunk he chooses. The captain stood. The interview, such as it was over. One more thing, he said. Vera looked up. In 31 years of command, Dresketh said, I have dealt with over 200 incidents of junior rank intimidation. What I find, consistently, is that the cadet doing the intimidating believes they have identified weakness. He picked up his datapad. That human filed a time-stamped, legally sufficient, correctly formatted incident report with named witnesses while managing active pain from a bone fracture, within 4 minutes of your departure. He paused. I want you to think carefully about which of you, in that room, was actually the weaker party. He left. Vera sat alone for a long time. Ryland was in the medical bay when the station's formal apology came through on his comm. His right hand was splinted, the fracture sealed with regenerative compound, and he was eating something from the commissary with his left hand without apparent difficulty. The medic, a young Theresi who had been watching him with poorly concealed fascination, finally said, You filed the report before you came here. Yes. Your finger was broken. Yes. And you filed the report first. Ryland glanced at her. Evidence degrades. Memory is contestable. A time-stamped log isn't. He looked back at his food. First you secure the record. Then you get the finger fixed. The Theresi medic stared at him for a long moment. You people, she said softly, not unkindly, are terrifying. Ryland smiled. It was a small smile. Unhurried. We prefer prepared, he said. 3 weeks later, Vera completed her first session of cross-species conflict protocol training. The module on human threat response psychology was the longest in the curriculum. She read it twice.